And we are live with another episode of the BS Busters. Frankly speaking, supposed to have this yesterday, but I had guests come over, had to corral drunks and call Ubers and Lyfts for people to get their asses home because they were drunk out of their mind. And if they weren't alcohol drunk, they were food drunk because I fed the shit out of these people who came to my house. So I had to get a wheelbarrow and wheel their ass out. Not literally, but figuratively speaking, I had to wheel them out to their vehicles so they could go home. Because for me, like even if you have a good time at my house, I'm the same way I am with someone being at one of my businesses. Look, you don't have to go home, but your ass can't stay here. So how was your Labor Day, Pinky?
And nothing much. I just spend my time playing Mario Tennis Aces.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I also had some Panda Express for dinner.
That is also interesting. I did none of that. I did all my cooking Saturday. I essentially cooked I did burgers, hot dogs. My pièce de resistance was some barbecued chicken and some barbecued ribs, pork spare ribs that I cooked for like 3 hours over a very low flame, and to the point where it was almost falling off the bone. That I then finished in the oven at like 150 for another 30, 40 minutes. And I froze like half of those ribs because I did like 2 racks, and I froze one of them. I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be great. So that was my accomplishment. I was like, yeah, I'm doing ribs. And it was relatively good.
And by the time Joel gets here, we'll probably ask her how's her Labor Day going.
Yeah. So I guess we should talk about. We're Jordan. How's it going, Dragon?
Back from a pretty long while, maybe.
All right. How was your Labor Day?
I guess nothing happened.
All right.
Yeah.
You're like, I did nothing. It was glorious. So yeah, so basically, I mean, this is kind of like a free topic thing because we don't know what's going to happen. But I guess I can. I guess we can go over some of the news that happened last week. Not a lot, and I guess in some of the news of this week, Enix is launching Dragon Quest XI tomorrow for PS4 and PC. No love for the Xbox One because fuck those guys. Although to be fair, almost every JRPG that's come to the Xbox One has failed miserably. So, I mean.
Meanwhile, the Switch has to wait a bit longer.
Yeah. And people are mad about that too. Like Nintendo fans are pissed. They're like, man, when are we gonna get our fucking Dragon Quest XI?
Because Square Enix is very incompetent.
Yeah, basically. I think we said this in Saturday's podcast. No, it was the aftercast. We were like, yeah, like basically Square Enix if Square Enix was a football team and they ran the ball all the way to the first yard line of their opponent's end, like just 1 yard to the end zone, they would mess that up and the opposing team would run down the field and make a touchdown. Like Square Enix just loves fucking up. That should be their mascot. We love fucking up because that's all we do.
Also, and there's also another company that's just as bad or debatably worse than Square Enix, Capcom, where they just announced Onimusha Warlord.
Yeah, it's the Onimusha remaster. Like when I saw it, I was like, oh, so this is like when I first saw it, I'm like, I know these people aren't remastering the original Onimusha. Like this is a mobile game or like a PC, like a little mini. I was like, oh no, they didn't. Like I'm like, Capcom, why don't you just make a new Onimusha?
And they announced it for the PS4, Xbox One, PC, and the Switch, and all of them, all except for the Switch version, will have physical copies.
Yeah, it's Capcom. They just can't. Capcom just, if there's a way to mess it, like Capcom's just sad at this point,
Definitely.
They just, it's like, come on, man, you could do better than this. No, we can't. Jesus. I mean, I love you, Capcom, but you gotta stop. You gotta stop fucking up. Your thoughts, Dragon?
I guess they can't stop if they have those investors pretty much tying them up. I guess those that state that we're glad that the games that we have are better reviewed than just them selling well or something like that.
Well, okay, I have to explain that because a lot of people were like, how dare they say that? Look, Capcom has tanked their major franchises. Street Fighter has tanked because Capcom fucked them up. And they were badly reviewed and people didn't like them. So basically, the reason they said that is because it probably was not explained well, is that if you tank your core franchises critically, that means you can't make as much money off them in the long term. So, they kind of need to get that, how can I put, that respect back for these core franchises. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. It's just like, are they in some money trouble still? I guess.
Yes, they are in money trouble. Yes, Capcom. I'm surprised Capcom doesn't have Mega Man doing sexual flavors behind a dumpster for $5 to $20 a pop in order to make money for that company, because they are in bad financial straits.
And thus, you be careful of who you deal with.
And it makes me kind of worried about Mega Man 11 because it paddles all the way to another Capcom news where they mentioned that Mega Man X9 will only happen if Mega Man 11 becomes a success.
Well,
so
it probably will become a success because it's probably going to come to PC, PS4, Xbox One, Switch. Like, here's the thing: Mega Man games should come to every system. Especially, I mean, like back in the day when like the NES was the big dog, SNES was a big dog. Like, but even back then, Mega Man games were, you could if you didn't have the core system, you could still get a Mega Man game on something. So Mega Man, especially nowadays that Mega Man isn't as popular as it used to be, you need to have Mega Man on multiple systems. It can't just be, well, I just play Mega Man on this one thing.
I was gonna say that even though my number 9 tried to take that thunder.
But the thing is, knowing Capcom, it'll probably be one of Mega Man 9. Well, Mega Man 11 might end up being one of the bad Mega Man games, like 5 or 7.
I don't think Mega Man 11 is going to be bad. I think people have been starved for Mega Man for so long that even if the game is just okay, people will be happy with it. And plus, from what I've seen of like the gameplay demos of it, it looks pretty good. I mean, it's a Mega Man game. Yeah, it's a Mega Man game. That's like, here's the thing: you can't expect, it's a Mega Man game. Like, really, the X games are the ones that really push the envelope forward. Like base Mega Man games, all you need is just like he defeats Robot Masters, he gets their powers. As long as the Robot Masters are kind of interesting
and balanced.
Yeah. Although I'm not going to be angry if they have some metal blade type weapon or some other weapon that can be cheese just to destroy everything, because that's half the fun.
Not to mention Mega Man 2, aka considered to be the best Mega Man game of all time, has that cheap weapon.
Yeah, and the metal blade and the thunder and the thunder attack that, like, basically if you would press start, it would count as a hit. So if you paused it like multiple times when it hit an enemy, it'd be like it hit the enemy multiple times with that one attack. I mean, basically what I'm saying is this. Or like people play Mega Man games for the level design and like them defeating bosses. I mean, if you want a more balanced Mega Man game, you got to play
Something like 20XX.
Well, no, I was going to say the X games. The Mega Man X games tend to be more balanced in terms of like weapons, because some weapons are good, some weapons are bad, but really you're going to be leaning on your X Buster once it gets upgraded for most of those, except for the ones where they add in Zero and Axel and Dave and Johnny, and I'm making up some of those names, and Paco, but
They only get 3.
I'm being facetious with the other people, but I think Mega Man X should only have X and Zero in it. Like, other characters are superfluous and unnecessary, unless you go with an RPG like Mega Man X Command Mission, which is an RPG, so having other characters kind of works. Like Spider, who turns out, spoiler alert, to be the bad guy.
I feel sorry for anyone that tried to level him up to a high point only to have him betray you.
Yeah.
Speaking of Spider, I guess we can move on to the obvious elephant in the room.
Puddlegate.
Yep.
Puddlegate. Like, people are angry that the game was downgraded graphically for the PS4, which is why, people who are watching those demos, I'm like, you do realize they captured those demos from the dev kit or from the PC that was used to run the game, to create the game. It was not done off of a PS4. I don't know why people are always surprised by that.
Which is kind of annoying because, seriously,
I mean,
you guys are pushing so much for graphics that gameplay is pushed out the window.
I mean, people should be angry that when you swing through the city, it doesn't look like a Spider-Man game, or they should be angry about, like, if you want the full quote-unquote game experience, you have to spend another $60 on top of the $60 what the game actually costs. Like, those are things to be angry about. I mean, personally, I'm pissed that a Spider-Man game is only on the PS4, because in past generations, Spider-Man games were on multiple consoles. But a fucking puddle, I can give a shit less. There are things to be angry about. There's things to be angry about. The graphical downgrade is not one of them. Let me put it that way. And I know some people are going to get angry because people always get mad because they like, getting mad about things, because that's the type of gaming we have these days. People getting mad about shit.
And the first DLC pack involves a playable black cat.
Jesus Christ. I could care less. I mean, I'm not getting the game anyway. Dragon Swords, you getting the game?
Eventually, probably more than likely Black Friday.
Good for you. Yeah, I'm not. I mean, at this point, for me to get the game, I would have to get a PS4, and I don't want to get a PS4, so probably won't be getting the game.
I mean, the fact that it's exclusive only to the PS4 pretty much shows how desperate Sony wants to keep Spider-Man license from Marvel.
Yeah, I think that pretty much was part of the deal. I'm pretty sure for Marvel.
Yeah, but the gameplay thing isn't a part of it, because before, the Spider-Man license used to be with Activision, and that's why you basically had Spider-Man games that were on everything. So, I mean, if Sony wants to make a Spider-Man game, God bless them. I am not going to buy it. I mean, game could be awesome, but, like, the best Spider-Man games I've ever played came from Treyarch, and I don't trust anyone else with the Spider-Man license, so I probably won't be playing that one.
I was going to say, that shows how much quality control is worth it, right?
No, not just that. It's just my favorite Spider-Man games were the ones made by Treyarch. That's like, those were the ones that I really enjoyed playing. Like, I like Spider-Man 2. That was done by Treyarch. I like Spider-Man Web of Shadows. That was done by Treyarch. Ultimate Spider-Man, also done by Treyarch. So I mean, those were like 6th-gen games. And I loved all 3 of them because they were just really like, I don't know what it is, but Treyarch at that time, they could like when you were Spider-Man, you were swinging through the city. They really made it feel good. Like you felt like Spider-Man in the comics and whatnot. So like basically that's the test of a Spider-Man game, because like 70%, 80% of your time is going to be spent web slinging through the city. And if that doesn't feel right, then everything else falls apart. So yeah.
To that, I agree on.
No, so
If it doesn't have the right feel, it might as well not be Spider-Man.
yeah. So I will not be getting the Spider-Man game just because I don't feel like buying a PS4 for Spider-Man. And even if I had a PS4, I probably wouldn't buy that game because I don't trust. Like, I trust very few studios with a Spider-Man game, and Insomniac is not one of them. So no.
Even though they're well known for the Spyro games and
yeah, but that's a different type of
genre. Yeah,
that's a different type of gameplay. It's like I wouldn't trust Tokyo EAD, the team that works on Zelda games, with a Mario game, because they're two complete. Yeah, they're both great developers. You know, it's a great development house, and I'm sure they're talented. But if what they've been working on are Zelda games, then you say make a Mario game, it's not gonna feel exactly like a Mario game compared to the people who normally make that game. So I'm not rolling with that, you know. But that's just my own personal opinion. You know, some people are going to get like, well, I'm going to get it. Well, I'm not saying you shouldn't get it. I'm saying these are the reasons I'm not getting it. Anyone else?
I mean, I kind of question if there really was a downgrade. I mean, this happens in every major PS4 exclusive release, and it's, I guess, been proven wrong.
Here's the thing. If there was a downgrade, it's because the game's demo was not pulled off of a PS4 or PS4 Pro. It was pulled off the dev kit, which is basically like attached to a gaming PC, which a dev gaming PC is going to be better than anything you're going to get in the PS4 or the PS4 Pro. That's just so. I mean, like here's the thing. Here's the thing. Okay. If you're playing a Spider-Man game, if you have time to, oh man, look at that puddle, while you're web slinging, you're not going to have time to worry about that puddle. Who gives a shit about the puddle when you're web slinging? Like I said, there's more important things to worry about with this game than a fucking puddle. That's all I'm saying. But
I think we'll find out if there, I guess, was some truth to that tomorrow.
Who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, let me put it this way. I have pre-downloaded Dragon Quest XI on my PC. I'll probably upload some game footage of that later on this week. So I'm more interested in that than I am in Spider-Man on the PS4.
I've been looking at the history of Dragon Quest, and it's been quite a ride. So I hope you enjoy yourself.
Well, I mean, they haven't. I mean, it's one of the few JRPGs
that kept
franchises that hasn't fucked up like Final Fantasy.
Ow.
I'll just admit it. Final Fantasy fucked up. Final Fantasy was kind of sick and ailing after Hironobu Sakaguchi left, and they did 10-2. But then when they went to 12 was good, but 12 isn't a Final Fantasy game. It's a Final Fantasy Tactics RPG because it's set in the same world as Final Fantasy Tactics. And then they did 13. 13 is where Final Fantasy for me just started to die. 13, 13-2, 13-3. Just it's done. And then 15, which isn't a fucking RPG, and people keep on calling it an RPG. It's not.
I was going to say, I barely call 13 an RPG. I said barely.
Well, 13 is an RPG. It's not a very well-made RPG, but it's an RPG. Like, you have the characters that gain experience, become more powerful as time goes on. There's quantitative increases in their power and abilities. And that's part of an RPG. There's a party. There,
I was
you have
gonna
to make
say
choices. You know, it's not a good RPG.
that's the thing. The RPG feel in that it makes me say this is not Final Fantasy VII quality of RPG. This is trash RPG.
Yeah, it's basically Final Fantasy 13 is essentially someone who is not the person in charge of that project had not made a game of that scope before, and you can tell because it's very amateurish. And then 13.2 is even worse because they try and ape Chrono Trigger with the time travel mechanic, but they suck at it. And then
that was one of the most annoying things I ever heard.
Yeah, and then 13.3 where they just said fuck it and they ripped off Majora's Mask. So basically, all I'm saying is this: like Final Fantasy 13, that entire trilogy is where Final Fantasy for me just went to shit, and it's never recovered from it because like I said, Final Fantasy 15 is not an RPG. It is not an RPG. But I guess with that being said, anyone want to bring anything up before we go into the next topic?
I guess, well, this will technically be a different one. I guess it will pertain to Xbox in terms of.
Oh, you mean the subscription?
That, but also how do they, like, I guess, get all these marketing deals in pretty much, like if they had the money to, or even have enough to do another console, or even have enough to buy the 5 studios from.
Well, I mean, like, here's the thing. I don't have any concrete evidence to back up my supposition, but what I believe they did, this is just my own personal opinion. Here's what I believe they did. I believe that Microsoft, like, remember when Microsoft closed all those studios and stopped paying for
their HQ?
No, they shuttered all those studios that they bought, like Max and the Curse of Brotherhood studio that they bought, and they shuttered Lionhead. They shuttered all these studios, like in the span of like 6 months, right? And then they canceled like 2-3 first-party games that they were paying for to be made, like Scalebound, and there's like 2 others that they just said, "Fuck it, we're done." So basically,
Phantom Dust remake and possibly maybe Crackdown 3 because it didn't show any gameplay.
Well, they say Crackdown 3, like they spent so much money on Crackdown 3 that at this point, like they can't afford to not get that game out. But you notice it's also coming to PC and like all that type of stuff. But my point is this: I think they took that money that was being allocated to those things and they moved things around. They canceled games. They canceled some deals. Like basically, like they used to get a blank check during the early years of the Xbox. Now they're on a stricter budget. So they're basically like, okay, we got to focus on where we put our money and who we give our money to. And I mean, that could be a good or bad thing. I think that they put that money on some stupid shit. Like, you notice the studios they bought were all indie studios, so they didn't have to spend a lot of money to get those studios. And I think that with the last studio, they put some deals out, probably some special deals, like we'll help you with the marketing, because Microsoft still has a decent marketing budget. Even the Xbox division has a decent marketing budget, so they're gonna help with marketing, maybe get some bennies with those games. I mean, it's kind of sad because I think they should just admit that the Xbox is on its way out. Just, you know, because basically Phil Spencer bet that if they took all that money and reallocated it on the Xbox One X, that would revitalize the Xbox brand. And they forget that I don't care. Like, the Switch is not a very powerful console. It isn't. As a matter of fact, it's the weakest 9th gen console out. It's the only 9th gen console out, but I'm pretty sure that when Sony comes out with whatever the fuck they have, it's going to be more powerful than what the Switch is. But it doesn't matter because the Switch has games that people want to play.
That's what I was going to ask. If all that phenomenal cosmic power can't run a toaster, what's the point?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it boils down to games, and that's what Microsoft just can't seem to understand. Is that like it's always been about the games. Like I don't know why they think that. I don't know why they think that they just they
can get away with just showing off power beyond control.
Yeah, it's like the Xbox One X. It has all these power. It's like, what about the games? Well, we don't talk about that. But look at all this shit it can do. I'm like, yeah, but it's a games console.
Yeah, people want games. Not showing games.
Okay, now the Switch has the opposite problem. It has the games, but there's certain features that would be awesome to have that it doesn't have. But I mean, no one says, "Well, I'm not going to get a Switch because it doesn't have a web browser or it doesn't have Netflix."
I was going to say, I heard some people say that, and I look at them like, really?
Yeah, true story. And I also saw one YouTuber who was still waiting for an Assassin's Creed game on the Switch.
Well, his ass is going to be waiting until he expires from waiting. Yeah, it's. I mean, my point is that there's different, like, you know, like I don't think anyone who has a Switch is going to say now. If you have a Switch and it's like I would probably use my Switch more because, like, for me, my Switch isn't like a portable handheld because I'm not taking it to work with me because. You know, I can't be a boss and have someone walk in on me in my office while I'm playing a fucking video game. Like that, you know, it undermines my authority. But, I mean, like I do use mine as a home console, but the thing is like there's a few games that I have for the Switch that I die hard play the shit out of and then I beat them. Now, if the Switch had other media features like a web browser or
it's all the power to it.
Netflix or Hulu. Well, it has Hulu, but it had Netflix or something like that. I might use it more because I mean, sometimes I have downtime and I'm someplace near Wi-Fi. I might want to watch a TV show or something. Doesn't have those features. So for someone like me, that's kind of a negative. But you know, not every look. It's at its core, it's a game console. At its core, it is a game console, and if a game console doesn't have
the games.
It doesn't have the games, which is what's happening to the Xbox One. It has no exclusive games that are really pushing that console forward, and that's hurting the Xbox brand. It's hurting the hell out of the Xbox brand. We have a few comments here from Chanel83. This is from earlier in the podcast. It says, "Really, Mega Man 2? People consider that to be the best of old school Mega Man." Well, I'll respectfully disagree, but I did like it. People like Mega Man 2 because it has some of the best music of the 8-bit Mega Man games. And you know, like certain abilities are OP as hell, so they make you feel powerful. And it has one of the best Wily themes. So much so that people have done multiple covers of it. Like no one does a cover of Mega Man 3's Wily theme or anything like that, but Mega Man 2, they love that shit.
Well, there is this one indie band that did a cover of Mega Man 3's Wily Castle theme.
Yeah, but that's one. There's myriads that do Wily 2s. That's my point. It's the most popular. It's the most popular two Mega Man game. That's the one that people like. That's the one that really because basically it's such a jump in quality from the first Mega Man, which isn't that good. So then Trinell83 asks, "Is it possible for the PS4 Pro to render graphics like the trailer?" Probably, but it's not going to be the same because basically, like if that game was on PC, the PC version is always going to look better than the home console version, especially if it's a high-end PC running it. That's it. I guess we can move into the elephant in the room, which is, I mean, I guess. The other elephant in the room. I'm gonna have to do this because I'm gonna put this rumor to bed. Okay. In my opinion, Pokemon is not an RPG. Never was an RPG, and it's just the way it is.
Is it because of the argument comments from BGF?
Well, I mean, that's like maybe 30% of it. But I mean, I went to a mom and pop hobby store, and this guy got in an argument with the guy who was stocking the shelves, like the different like sections, like, you know, these are RPGs, these are sports games, these are arcade games, these are this, that. And he's like, well, why'd you put this here? I'm like, this nerd. And he's like, he's getting upset. And I was like, well, I mean, like, this is like my go-to mom and pop store. This is the place where I go to get a lot of my retro games. So I was like, well, actually, the reason they did that is because blah 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 blah. And the guy obviously got a little pissed. So, like, I have to put this on record because I haven't before. We've had after chats about it. We've had after casts about it, pre-casts about it, but I'm gonna say it, you know, live and recorded so that people can get the thing. Okay. Does Pokemon have no RPG characteristics? Of course it has RPG characteristics. Is it an RPG? In my opinion, not really.
Light.
I wouldn't even call it a light.
It's a baby's first RPG because it's not as complex as Final Fantasy, Dragon.
I wouldn't even call it that, and I'll tell you. I'll tell you why it's not even a light RPG. Okay, an RPG is typified, at least a video game RPG is typified by a character going on some type of quest or journey, and through their own efforts, they become more powerful. They themselves, that character, or a group of characters, become more powerful over that journey's thing. Your main character in a Pokemon game never gets any more powerful. Yeah, they get badges that lets them control more powerful Pokemon, but really, it's all through the efforts of the Pokemon they catch. They themselves get no powerful. It's not like they're out there fighting alongside their Pokemon with a stick or a rock or some shit. Okay? Unless you're Ash Ketchum, that fucking moron.
If you haven't played Citizens of Earth, I'm going to disagree with you.
Citizens of Earth is a parody RPG, but there is leveling up in there, okay? Because your main character does get more powerful as the game goes along. You unlock new abilities.
I'm sorry, but you gotta be.
I have Citizens of Earth. There. The character gets more powerful as the president, even though he doesn't fight directly. The vice president gets more powerful as the game goes along by you completing certain things. You get more powerful as time goes along. Now, Pokemon doesn't really have that. Like, arguably speaking, your character, aside from what they, you know, and you can say, well, they accomplish all these things. They get badges. Yeah.
The thing is, your character.
Link gets various items, but that doesn't make The Legend of Zelda a fucking RPG.
Well, the thing is, your character is never the main focus of the games. It's the Pokemon themselves who are the main stars, which is why why there's little to no merchandise of the trainers themselves, but
normally I agree with you, but every game has a trainer, and you're not controlling the Pokemon, you're controlling the trainer who's controlling the Pokemon. Trainer is supposed to be your avatar, if you will. And I mean, if that was the case, you know, I'd say, well, that's really cool, but like I said, trainer, there's no character progression for the trainer. There's none.
There's no character progression for Mario and Link.
It's literally, yeah, but Mario, by and large, 2D Mario games, Mario is basically the same from the beginning of the game to the end. Those aren't RPGs. Legend of Zelda, yes, Link becomes more powerful as time goes on, but it's not through, oh man, I fought all these monsters. Hey, I just slashed 1,000 likes. My arm, my sword strength got more powerful. It's like, oh, I found a better sword, or oh, I found a better shield, or I'm wearing better armor. Like, that's not an RPG. Now, is there loot in there? Yeah, there's some loot.
I'm gonna have to say, you're gonna say that something like Baton Baton Kratos isn't an RPG either.
Yeah, but it is. You level up, you class up.
Yeah,
There isn't equipment.
On because
there isn't equipment in the classical sense of the word, but here's another mark against Pokemon. There are choices that you make in Bait and Katos that affect the overall world that you're in.
This is where I say
choices that you make in Pokemon that affect
Pokemon. I said is a light RPG, as in it's not big, it's not as grandiose as the others, but seriously, it's a little
choice that you make in a Pokemon game that majorly affects the world that you're in.
Right now, you're just talking like a certain group of Pokemon fans who want it to be dark and edgy by having
it doesn't have to be dark and edgy. It could be something as simple as, hey, like I want to be a Pokemon trainer, but I don't want to fight Pokemon. I want to be a contest person. So the game instead diverts into a path where all you do is do contests. That'd be cool for me. Here's the thing. I was
going to say that the only big choice that you have really in the game is your starter.
And that means nothing.
And yet you told me you never said that when I was
It serves no purpose. It doesn't do anything.
And yet you told me you never said that when I was telling someone why you think Pokemon is not an RPG.
Yeah, I said that they need to have choices that have that meaningfully change the way the narrative goes. And I said, look, you use the most extreme example. I said they didn't have to go, like, I don't need dark and edgy. I don't need a Pokemon where you can choose to, I'm losing this Pokemon battle, so you pull out a gun and shoot the other trainer. Listen, I don't need that level of like I don't think any Pokemon fan who wants the formula to either go deeper or evolve into something more meaningful. But that doesn't mean that I'm perfectly happy with, okay, you choose a starter. It doesn't really matter which starter you choose because you can catch other Pokemon, which basically negates what starter you choose. Like, because
you said negate, but I would say you're balancing out or overturning.
I could say the exact same thing for the very first game because there are a few other fire types that overall outclass Charizard.
But you don't get those until the very end of the game. Or not very end, but like later on in the game. Like you're not even gonna see a Growlithe, be able to catch a Growlithe until you're past the 5th gym. You're not gonna be able to get. Well, I mean, yeah, if you do some creative things, but generally the 5th gym, you're not gonna get your hands on. I mean, unless you do some interesting trading, you're not gonna be able to get your hands on a Magmar. I mean. So, but even then, it's still like there's other Pokemon that can go against types that the fire type would be strong against that you can catch. I mean, look, listen, Pokemon is a fine and dandy game. I don't consider it to be an RPG. Even if you compare it to and I don't want to use the comparison of let's compare it to Chrono Trigger. Because Chrono Trigger is like a really fucking good RPG. Like you can compare it against a shitty RPG, and it would still be lacking things that a shitty RPG has. So I don't really want to, I don't want to do that. I don't want to compare it to Dragon Quest Monsters.
Oh God, I hear that already.
I don't want to compare it to that. I don't want to compare it to Yokai Watch because it has nothing. It's not even close to Yokai Watch. They're two completely different gameplay styles.
What about Monster Hunter Stories?
Oh God. Oh. I don't want to get started on that game.
Yeah, you just put yourself in this mess.
No, I don't want to talk about Monster Hunter Stories because I played the demo and I was like, it's okay. I mean,
I got the game, and I can't argue for it.
It's okay. It's not the best, but it still has RPG elements in it that Pokemon doesn't have.
It's the thing that you wanted, but Pokemon doesn't.
Well, I mean,
seriously, I know you're trying to hide it.
Well, no. The thing is that I only played the demo. I really don't know much about Monster Hunter Stories. I only played the demo for like 5 minutes. I was like, it's okay. I'm not gonna get the game.
5
And then I put
minutes.
it down. So
I
don't know.
Oh, son of a beep.
Or you can just admit that you're just suffering from burnout from
Look,
Pokemon.
I haven't played every RPG in existence. I've just
Burnout
played.
is one thing.
Let's see. I haven't played every RPG in existence. So Monster Hunter Stories, like I know it has turn-based combat and you can collect monsters and you can fight alongside them, which is kind of cool. I don't know the depths of what that game has because I only downloaded the demo and like I said, I played it for like 5 minutes. It was like, well, it's not that I lost interest. It was like something else popped up and then another game caught my interest. So I mean, can't play everything. Shit, RPGs are a time-consuming genre. I can't play every RPG that's out there.
But here's the thing: I get called out on for saying that I only played the Yokai Watch demo, and yet I'm the one that has Monster Hunter's Stories.
Yeah, and I said that if you look, just like you said to me, look, I only played 5 minutes of the demo, so I can't really talk about much about Monster Hunter Stories because I only played 5 minutes of the demo.
Here's the thing: I actually tried to do an hour into the demo, as in try to do random monsters and all that.
I did not. You went further than me. That's good.
Yeah, this is how I know. This is how I know that Yokai Watch is an inferior RPG to Pokemon, as far as I can tell. And this is where I'm going to be getting on my case here a bit.
No, I have to
but
agree
here
with
it
you.
goes.
By my own standards, you're right. Because Yokai Watch, your main character doesn't get any stronger as time goes on. All of your abilities that you get to become more powerful are basically like, oh, I got my Yokai Watch got a little upgraded, so now I can capture, I can make. Well, you don't really capture. I can befriend stronger yokai, but it's not like you're actually or capture stronger yokai.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you don't really,
And you don't even control your own characters.
That is, or
any of the characters that you own, anyways.
You kind of guide the yokai in a fight, but you aren't directly controlling them. But I mean, to be fair, that makes both of them not really RPGs.
Breaking news, guys! The Wii U is getting an update.
So.
And people are surprised because people assume that the Wii U is dead after all to the next few years.
Sorry, but this is where I get a good laugh.
You know what probably happened is that Nintendo figured out, hey, we can't. Some of these games we just can't port to the Switch. so we got to keep those people who still have that damn system a little bit happy.
Which I'm probably one of those people because I think I am just going to go straight to the next gen. If the Switch successor is coming in 2022, and just get these Switch games are going to be missing unless they're not going to.
If they're just going to port every, I mean, that's the way I feel about it. If you're just going to port everything, just fuck it. What's the point? But I mean, maybe they might change things up. I don't know. It's Nintendo, and they're in a weird space right now. But I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, listen, I agree. Yokai Watch is not an RPG. Neither is Pokemon. They have RPG elements, but they aren't RPGs.
Pokemon is more of an RPG than Yokai Watch, buddy.
It may have more RPG elements, still not an RPG. Look, if Yokai Watch ain't an RPG, neither is Pokemon. They're both not RPGs, and that's okay. That's cool. I'm cool with that. That's all right then. I just found it amusing that people were like, "Yeah, Yokai Watch is gonna be the Pokemon killer." I'm like, really?
And people are still saying that Yokai Watch is gonna be the Pokemon killer because the upcoming Yokai Watch game for the Switch is supposedly has better graphics than Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee.
I mean, I will agree.
I'm sorry. I'm trying not to laugh here, but
I will agree though that I find the design of the Yokai Watch yokai is a lot more, to me, aesthetically pleasing than a lot of the Pokemon. Because for me, the Pokemon don't start to look cool until their final forms if they evolve over time. Because like when they start out, it's like this little dinky motherfucker right here. It's like, whoa, but wait until its third evolution. The shit looks badass. Yeah, but I got to go through like 40-something levels, 11 of raising this son bitch to get to that point.
That's called effort, buddy.
Yeah. But I mean, Yokai Watch, and I mean, it's to me, it just seems that the yokai seem to have a little bit more personality than the Pokemon, or at least it seems that the yokai, that level 5 tends to put a little bit more effort into designing their Pokemon than I'm sorry, they're yokai than Pokemon, because I used to think that the Pokemon, they could do no wrong with their design until I think it was Gen whatever number Gen was, the X and Y, where they had a fucking
Gen 6
set of keys. I was like, you motherfuckers, and an ice cream cone.
I had a great laugh. So excuse me.
No, I was like, are you really out of that much? You know, a shield. It's an evil hunter shield. I'm like, motherfucker.
And it turns out to be one of the most overpowered Pokemon, to the point where it got banned in competitive tournaments.
Man, I guess I don't know. I was like, look, listen. If you guys are running out of ideas, just admit it, and send your artist off on a retreat.
That one I had to disagree with you, because Gen 1 had a pile of sludge, magnets.
You mean a pile of shit?
And evolution being just a bigger version of themselves, but with angry.
A bigger version of shit. Yeah. Look, listen. I think that is very interesting. That because really, if Pokemon were real, and someone summoned a Pokemon that is essentially a big slot pile of liquid shit, I would say, look, you win automatically, because I don't want to fight that. I don't want to smell it. I don't want to see it. You win. But you win. I forfeit. I don't want to. You win. You win automatically. You win, no matter what. But it's funny. It's a psychic type. Look, you win. It's a pile of shit. You win. Plus, Gen 1 is the first generation, so it's like they still haven't worked out the kinks. But I mean, look. Pokemon's been around for over 25 years at this point. I mean, obviously they've begun to hit a wall in terms of the Pokemon they can come up with. Hey, I need to come up with a new Pokemon.
No, people have been arguing about that since the third generation, and that hasn't stopped them since.
I need to create a new Pokemon. Damn it, I'm running out of ideas. Oh wait, someone got a jingling keys. I got it.
Actually, there's actually some mythological backstory behind those set of keys.
Look, man, you can make as many excuses as you want.
No, that's because of your lack of research on what.
Oh man,
what these Pokemon are based off of.
Look, man, you can make as many excuses as you want. It just seems kind of
no, that pretty much tells me that you're nothing more than a Pokemon casual.
I just don't care. Well, no, I'm not a Pokemon casual. I'm not some fucking weirdo who spends hours and hours researching the lineage and history of the Pokemon, because I have better shit to do with my time. That's not a casual thing. I have a life. Okay? Like, I don't go on chat rooms arguing with people about the type mix-ups and how they shouldn't have changed what skills this Pokemon learned at certain levels, because I have better shit to do with my time than stuff like that. Now, if people like doing that, God bless you. I got better shit to do with my time. But anyway, yeah, that I don't consider Pokemon to be an RPG. Does it have RPG characteristics?
It's more of an RPG than 15, that's for sure.
Well, hell, man, I threw something in the trash yesterday that was more of an RPG than Final Fantasy 15, so that's not really saying much. Yeah.
And would you consider Undertale an RPG?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it has turn-based combat, doesn't it? Your characters level up. They make choices that meaningfully change the game world. I mean, yeah, some of those choices are kind of fucked up. Like, if you kill people enough times, you get the shitty ending, and then it's like forever etched into the game. So the choices you make in Undertale really affect the overall gaming world. which I got to give props to. I mean, it's kind of like, it's sad that no one's told that your choices make those types of, you know, those, you know, those choices affect the gaming world, but it does. So I got to give credit to where credit's due. It is an RPG.
Of course, one of our contributors calls it one of the worst games he's ever played.
Well, I mean, I mean that's his opinion about the game. I'm just saying that
It plays as a terrible RPG.
I'm saying that going by what an RPG has, like because here's the thing, okay? You can no longer categorize an RPG by what they were in 1983 because like the landscape has changed. What games are capable of has changed. There are a lot of games that have RPG elements in them that, by the strictest definition, you can't call an RPG. So basically, the reason I made that video was to make a more modern and easily applied to modern games with all of their modern tropes and evolutions and changes that you can still say, okay, is this an RPG? Is this an RPG? Is this an RPG? Because sometimes they fool people. Like on that list, like someone's like, Breath of the Wild is an RPG. I'm like, really? No. Breath of the Wild's an action adventure game with crafting and loot. What?
I mean, I was about to say that, but barely. Like, well, I don't. I mean, I guess I'll ask, is Yakuza an RPG?
It depends on which version of the game. I mean, because you do make choices that affect the gaming world. They're minor, like, you know, you help someone out of a jam and they make their lives better, but they're not a major character. Your character does level up and become more powerful as time goes on, unlocking new skills and abilities. But it's more of a beat 'em up with some RPG elements than a strict RPG. But it is fun though. Any game that lets me take a baseball bat and hit someone upside the head and then bash them in the face with it. I mean, as a finisher, I just look. That's pretty badass. Or use a nutcracker with a nunchuck. Where you feign an attack to someone's head so they protect their upper body in order to leave their lower body open, and then hit them with a smash in the groin with a pair of nunchucks, and then smash them in the face, or as I like to call it, the nutcracker. It's you know, I give props to that game, but no, it's. You know, if it's an RPG, it's a very light RPG, and if it's not an RPG, it's a beat 'em up with RPG elements. But I mean, it has more RPG elements than Yokai Watch or Pokemon, though, because your character does become more powerful as time goes on, and you do get access to new skills and abilities as the game goes along through your own efforts. There's some cool stuff going on there. Let's see, Trinell83. If you're listening, Trinell, just ask some questions in the comments section. We can get to that sometime in the future. Any other topics you guys want to go over?
Oh, we could talk about that. We could talk about the Nintendo Directs, that about two of them in the same week from actually last week. The Nindies Direct and the Dragalia Lost Direct.
The Nindies Direct was cool. The Dragalia Lost one, I was just like, this did need to be in a direct.
But there's usually a direct dedicated to a certain game, kind of like Wonderful 101, Bayonetta 2, Samus Returns.
I don't think mobile games should get directs. That's my only thing. I just don't think mobile games should get directs. But that's my own personal bias.
As for the Nindie Directs, I'm interested in trying out that Goose game.
Yeah, some of them look good. I'm just kind of sad that the game that was supposed to be that we didn't see Hotline Miami. Well, we saw a little bit of Hotline Miami. Not Hotline Miami. Shit, forgot the name of that game. It's like GTA, but not.
And I also found it funny that people were expecting a smash trailer for a character reveal, an indie character reveal for Smash from that direct.
Yeah, I don't know why they would do that. Like, I don't know why. No, I don't mean why Nintendo. I'm like, I don't know why anyone would think Nintendo would put a Smash direct in an indie. A Smash reveal in an indie thing.
Yeah, because Shovel Knight's an assist story, they think other possible indie characters like Shantae or Quote from Cave Story might have a chance.
Well, Quote wouldn't have a chance because that game got its start on PC. Shantae would have a bigger chance because
she was on a Nintendo system.
Yeah, her first game was on the Game Boy Color, but that game was
ages back.
Yeah, I mean, I have that game, but I mean that game's from a very long time ago. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Ooh.
And let's see, any other news?
I mean, you guys talked about the Cyberpunk 2077 gameplay. Well, not yesterday.
Well, I mean, I was supposed to do it Saturday when we did the Cyberpunk thing, but we can do it now. I don't know about you guys, but I'm fucking jazzed about this game. I can't wait till it comes out. It looks like it's going to be fun. That's just me.
People are saying this cannot be done on current gen consoles.
Yeah, you're probably going to have to get it on PC, so that's okay.
I mean, is that true?
Now I remember what topic. Apparently, there's a fake outrage in regards to Doom Eternal.
And what would that outrage be about?
Well, supposedly the evil corporation from the last Doom game is supposedly there's supposed to be some kind of joke where an evil corporation has tried to humanize the demons, like calling them demon is an offensive term. We should call them like
morally disabled,
morally challenged individuals.
Yeah, something like that. And people took offense to it, saying it's nothing. And people took offense to the joke.
Well, I mean, it depends on how well the joke lands, how well it's constructed. But I want to get back to what Dragon Sword was talking about. Cyberpunk. Dragon, you were talking Cyberpunk?
Is it true that it can't be done, like even on the Switch?
I mean, it probably can't be done on the Switch unless they do such a graphical downgrade that it, probably wouldn't be worth it. I mean, like, here's the thing. I want that game to come out. It's probably not going to come out this year or next year. It might come out the year after next. So you're looking at
2020.
Yeah, 2020 when that game comes out, which would work really well because the first Cyberpunk game was Cyberpunk 2020. So that would be really good marketing right there. So, I mean, and it's probably going to hit the PS4 and the Xbox One and PC. And like, here's the thing, like the Switch is not like on a technical level all that powerful. So clearly some games are just never going to come to it. And that's okay. That's why you have multiple consoles. Okay. This is not like the Wii U where the Wii U, there was a lot of games that could have been on the Wii U that they just didn't want to do it. Like, this is not one of those things. The Switch is noticeably underpowered compared to even its 8th gen competition. So you're just not gonna. You can't expect certain games to come to the system. That's just the way it is, for good or for ill.
I mean, I was about to say if CD Projekt Red is open to maybe just pointing over to a Nintendo system, that would just be on the successor if it does end up coming out in 2022.
Yeah, but I mean, would you want to play a Cyberpunk game that's like literally been downgraded that much? I mean, I wouldn't.
You mean on the next Nintendo system?
No, if they ported it to the Switch, I wouldn't want it to be down. I wouldn't want to play that game if it was downgraded that much. If it comes out for quote unquote the current gen systems in the next gen, the current gen and next gen systems, because if Sony comes out with the PS5 sometime, in the near future or whatever, like, and Nintendo comes up with their next console or whatever, like, I mean, would I be averse to a port? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm probably going to get the game on PC, so I'm probably not going to buy it again for a home console. But if that makes you happy, then knock yourself out. I mean, if you want to hold out for the console release, because, I have a gaming PC, so I can do that type of thing. Like basically having a gaming PC negates me purchasing a lot of things for consoles because I can get it cheaper on PC a lot of times. Like Yakuza 0 is like $30 on the PlayStation Network, or like $20 if you go to GameStop plus tax. I bought mine for $15.99 on sale for PC. So it just depends on what you do. I would say these days you can't afford to only have one console you game on, sadly, because just how divided everything's become.
I was going to say some companies make it a little bit easier to consider that idea.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I would tell this: you shouldn't just have a PlayStation. Like, you shouldn't just have an Xbox One. You need to have at least 2 consoles or a gaming PC and one of the 3 consoles in order for you to get the full range of gaming. Really, if you want to get everything, a gaming PC, a PlayStation system, and a Nintendo system, you do not need the Xbox One because like 95% of their games are coming to PC. So if you absolutely have to play Halo, you can get it on PC, and probably that's the better version to play it on. I mean, it's a better system to play it on.
Is the next Xbox system likely to, I guess, be Windows 10? I
Probably.
Instead of just being like its own kind of thing, like the Xbox One.
It probably is going to be, because right now Microsoft came out with this thing. I did a video on it where basically they're essentially, what they're doing is they're selling you the Xbox One, like they're renting it, like it's you're leasing it from them. Like you get the Xbox One in Game Pass, and you're paying $480 for an Xbox One S, which normally retails for $299. Like you can get an Xbox One S for $299 right now, and Games Pass, which you can get for like $50 a year for a 2-year leasing contract. So basically, you're spending 150% of what the thing's worth to get that to get one, and that's what they're going to be offering in America. And which is kind of like Microsoft, the Xbox division, throwing in the towel. Like, I don't think there's going to be another Xbox division after this. It's probably just going to be, they might do a box, like a set-top box, but it's going to be a streaming device where it's going to be a hard drive and a streaming device. Everything's going to be digital. But the thing they're going to entice people with is, well, hey, you can if you have a gaming PC, if you have a PC, you can stream to your PC, kind of like how they're doing with the Xbox One now. So it's going to be all, that's going to be the future of the Xbox division, if there is a future, because Nadal might just shut it down and be like, we're done with this shit, peace.
Like it won't be like, I guess according to the rumor, like multiple, like 2 consoles, and one would be the more traditional and one would be the streaming.
Like, here's the thing, it could happen, But here's my question: is that really going to change anything with the system? Is that going to turn around the fortunes of the Xbox?
Not with the software sales that they have. No.
I mean, it's so. I mean, because really, the money in the video game industry has always been in software, right?
Right.
And Nintendo has always been like Nintendo made a okay profit on the hardware, but really they make their money off the software. And Nintendo's been selling software gangbusters. Like they're owning Japan right now. Their hot games are selling. So I mean they're making money hand over fist right now. So it makes, I mean, I'm just saying that, I mean, you know, like software is king. And I know a lot of like Sony and Microsoft apologists are like, well, you see, the reason they can make profit is because of licensing deals. No, because a licensing deal means you're getting a cut of the money that the developer and the publisher are getting, right? Like, so if a game retails for $60, you're getting like maybe 10 or 15 of that $60, right? Like that's the licensing. Like it's licensed to be on your product, and that's cool if a game sells 5, 6, 7 million on your console. That's nice. That's a nice little chunk of change. You made 15 million off of that. But here's the thing. Well, not 15, 30. If you get $15 of that, each of that million, you get maybe 10 or 15 million. But here's the problem with the whole licensing makes up for them not making money off of their first party software. Is that first party software, you get 100% of the profit or close to it, like 95 to 100% of it. So, you know, Nintendo sells Mario Odyssey for $60. They get all of that $60. And that's like the highest selling game on the Switch right now, if I remember correctly. Am I correct on that? Mario Odyssey is the highest selling game on the Switch right now.
Yeah, it's currently.
Yeah, I'm pretty.
Okay, I threw that out there because typically Mario games sell well on Nintendo consoles. Okay, so basically that's the highest selling game on the Switch right now. That's every time you bought that game, either by itself or in a bundle, they got that $60 went straight to Nintendo. That's worth way more than a shitty fucking licensing deal for $10 or $15 or something that sold, you know, 2 or 3 million. Like, I'm sorry, like that's why Nintendo's profitable. That's why the Wii U, despite selling only like 12.5 million units, still made more money for Nintendo than the PS4 or the Xbox One made for Sony or Microsoft because of their first-party games. All right? And I know people are going to get mad. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You're a Nintendo fanboy. Man. I'm being facetious. I'm making people who are contrary to what I just said sound like they're idiots, but I mean, I'm sorry. The argument that, well, they made licensing deals. I'm sorry. A licensing deal is not going to make up the difference. Okay. All right. So I can do the math right now. $15 times 7 million. Is 10 is basically 105, like basically is 105 is wait a second, 10.0 punto. It's basically it's essentially 1,505,000. Okay, that's not impressive. Sorry. It's 1,050,000. Okay, that's not impressive. That's not a lot of money, right? And yes, Sony has lots of systems. Sony has lots of games on their system from third parties that are selling millions of units. And so that's a lot of, that's a lot of
fingers that they're in.
Yeah, that's a lot of little cups going into a pot, but that's still not as impressive as, $60 a pot selling 9 million units, which is what you have with Nintendo with, Mario Odyssey. And let's say off the top of that, you take 10 million off of the total amount of expenses to make that game. Staff and insurance for the staff and, those people, materials they need to make that game. They still made a lot of fucking money off that game. And that's just one of the games that sold well for that system. You had Breath of the Wild.
The Deluxe.
What?
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Mario Kart 8, which they sold, which made money for them on the Wii U. So much so they turned around and sold it to people again for the Switch. My point is this: first party, you want first party that sells well. Like everyone's like, if Sony betrayed us with Gran Turismo, how could they put microtransactions in the game? Because it didn't fucking sell well. And Gran Turismo is a very expensive game to make. All right. Because they have to pay each of those car models that they use. They have to pay the car manufacturers to put those models in the game. Those tracks that they use, those real life tracks that they use, they have to pay to put that. Like, it's a very expensive game to make. All right. It's expensive as fuck. Okay. So, they got to spend money like that. It's expensive, and it sold under 500,000. Like, it sold abysmally. So yeah, they got to make their money back. And Gran Turismo used to be Gran Turismo is still the highest selling Sony IP. Is still Gran Turismo, and yet people don't want arcade sims on a home console anymore. I'm sorry, it's too expensive.
I would say that there is a place for arcade games, but
what's different about Gran Turismo to Forza?
Gran Turismo is more of a car simulation, whereas Forza is more of an arcade car racer. Like arcade car racers are focused more on the fun aspect, which is cool, like more of a casual fun. I'm just driving real fast. Whereas car sims try to use are more realistic in how they do things. Like road conditions are important, weather conditions are important. What condition your car is in is important in a car simulation. Because I used to be really big into car sims back in the day for my PC. And it's a sim is very different from an arcade experience. They're fun. Each of them are fun in their own way, but they're different. And I know some people are going to get mad because, some people love Gran Turismo. I remember Sony fanboys used to lord that shit over people. We've got Gran Turismo. It's the premier racing experience on home consoles. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Looks like I'm out of articles to discuss.
Well, I just went to Nintendo Enthusiast, and there's someone named Andrew Gonzalez who wrote an article saying that Soul Calibur 6 should definitely be ported to the Switch with a guest character, and obviously the guest character should be Link. Come on, we all know who this guest character should be.
Character.
No, I think it should be Link. Link should return. It's time. It's time for the king to come back and show these whippersnappers how it's done, so he can be utterly cheap with his bow and arrow and bombs and boomerang.
Link was the most varied character in Soul Calibur when he was around the Soul Calibur 2 series.
Yeah, and basically, I mean, that Link from that game is basically kind of like a spiffed up, less rough looking version of Link from Twilight Princess. So, You know, I mean, I'm just saying, and if you look at the numbers, the highest selling Soul Calibur game during the Soul Calibur 2 version was the GameCube version. It sold 500,000 units, whereas the other two versions sold less. So,
there's one more video game article I found.
All right.
Rayman is being included in Brawlhalla, which is a Smash clone, by the way.
Well, that's the closest he's going to get to being in Smash, so good for him.
And it's owned by Ubisoft. So it makes more sense to include him in that game.
Who?
Brawlhalla is published by Ubisoft. So it makes sense.
That makes sense, yeah. Yeah. Here's the thing. Ubisoft is so they're like Namco Bandai for me. Like half the time they do something that's good, and then the other half they're fucking up. So it's like I can't like people are like, well, they're turning things around, but then they do something that's equally as stupid. So I can't, like South Park: The Stick of Truth. That game is too goddamn expensive. So, anyone else have anything they want to bring up before we move on to the next topic?
I guess the first-person controversy with Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah, some people are upset that it's a first-person game. I'm like, it's like, here's what I'm gonna say: the people who are mad about that, go and read one of the gameplay manuals or the books based on the game for Cyberpunk. Read that shit, and then you'll understand. Okay, because I've played the tabletop game that it's based off of, and it's basically like Shadowrun, except there's no magic. You have technology instead of magic, which is kind of cool. It's pretty good. I'm gonna get the game because the guy who I've been playing his game for years, I didn't know this. The guy's black. He's a black nerd, so I'm gonna have to support it because gotta support black nerds in gaming. gotta support the folks. So
I mean, could some elements of third person work, I guess, in the game? I guess in terms of character control.
What?
For Cyberpunk 2077, like some elements.
I mean, the game is basically like here's the thing: the people who are complaining about Cyberpunk 2077 are angry that it's not like The Witcher. But The Witcher is a fantasy RPG. This is a sci-fi RPG. Sci-fi RPGs don't really work in the third person that well.
And one of our contributors is already dismissing Cyberpunk 2077 because of the quote-unquote LGBT propaganda.
Like I said, here's the thing, okay? There's no agenda to it. The people, like, you have people. It's kind of like if you and anyone here who has actually read or watched read the mangas for I forgot, Ghost in the Shell. It's like they're like Ghost in the Shell has a lot of things. Like the main character is bisexual. She's very gender fluid. Like for the first 6-7 volumes, she's in a relationship with another woman, and then like halfway through the first 8th thing, she goes single for a while, and she winds up going with her mechanic, who's a dude. So it's like it's cyberpunk. They're very gender fluid in these types of things. There's nothing really, it's an agenda. That's just the way it is. Cyberpunk's always been like that. That's the genre. They're very hedonistic and open about their sexuality. So.
Anything else in regards to that the one controversy?
I mean, I don't think it's a controversy. I think most of it is just people who haven't played that game or haven't even heard of the tabletop game, and they're like, I'm outraged. It's like, well, did you ever play the original? No, then shut the fuck up. I mean, I'm sorry, but I mean,
yeah, it kind of sounds like that these people are actual casuals.
Yeah, I mean, okay. It's like when people come up to me and they're like, because I've seen people like, why are they making social statements in this game that's about science fiction cyberpunk? Science fiction's always made social statements. Science fiction's all about making social statements. It's always been about social statements. It's weird when science fiction doesn't have a social statement going on, because they're allegories. Just saying. Anyone have anything to say to that? Anyone have anything they want to add before we move on to the next topic?
Nope. Other than planning on telling that contributor about the history of Cyberpunk 2077, just so he can be more educated.
Well, I mean, no, man, you don't need to educate anyone. Listen, if he wants to believe that, let him believe that. I mean, like, here's the thing: this game is probably going to do well, regardless of whether or not one guy's like, I don't like their socialist agenda. How dare they? How dare they?
The other thing is that he sounds a bit racist, and also bad mouths anything that isn't Nintendo unless it's Xenoblade or Golden Sun.
Yeah, you can't engage with racists. I've tried. You just got to say, look, that's what you believe. Good for you, and keep it moving. Because if you do, they never stop.
Right. So let's move on to the next topic.
So, any games anyone's looking forward to this fall aside from Smash Brothers Ultimate?
Let's see.
That's a hard question.
I was looking forward to Dark Souls Remastered until
it screwed itself over.
Yeah, and that, as well as the announcement of the trilogy, and as well as the rumors of the second game about being planned to be ported onto the Switch as well. So there may be a possibility that the limited trilogy might come later to the Switch.
It's Namco Bandai, and they fuck shit up all the time. So I can't really, Namco Bandai, like I said, remember when I said they're like 50-50?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the only game outside of Smash that I'm looking forward to is Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee.
Yeah, I'm not really excited for that game. But then again, like I'm not really like basically Sun and Moon kind of basically soured me towards Pokemon. I think I'm gonna have to go on a hiatus from the franchise for a little bit, which is sad because until this point I've been pretty much like, yeah, I buy one version of at each Pokemon that's come out, but this is gonna be the first time where I'm probably gonna be like, no, because I mean, like I've said this before. I used to be one of those hardcore people that, I used to like go and I would like go and make my own type matchup charts and my own level charts and growth charts and stuff like that. But like I'm not that hardcore into Pokemon anymore, sadly. Mostly because partially, well, not mostly, partially because I just don't have the time or energy to devote to it, and secondly, it just doesn't interest me like it used to. So, oh well, there's other games out there.
For me, I'm actually getting a little peek around and saying that if I think about it, Super Mario Party would be one of the big ones I'm looking out for, but personally.
Oh yes, there's also. I almost forgot that's coming out this year as well. It also comes with 2 additional Joy-Cons, so that way, in case I can invite some people to play Mario Party with me. Or
if I wasn't burnt out of Mario Party from years ago, I'd probably get this one. But I'm
however, it does have online features, so there's that.
I know people are finally going to be like, I can play online with my friends. It's like, yeah,
I got a facepalm about that because seriously,
I don't like Mario Party anyway. So
then, what was the point of you complaining about its lack of online features then?
I didn't complain about lack of online features. I said it would be nice if it had online features. And for a lot of people, like, here's the thing. I don't care. Like, I'm not like ultra into Mario Party. Like, if I go to someone's house and I'm like, hey, you want to play Mario Party? I'll play for a little bit, but I'm not like, oh my God, I have to play Mario Party. Like, never have I bought a Nintendo console just so that I can fucking play Mario Party. Like, I've never gone to the store and been like, man, I got to pick up that new Mario Party. It was like, yeah, whatever. But for people, there are people who the fact that it has online is really important to them. But here's what I'm going to say. If Nintendo's online sucks and people start glitching out and lagging out and beating people with this online, and
if anything, it's thankfully mini games only. So that shouldn't be too much of a pain in the tail.
So I don't want to hear it from people. Oh, well, the reason, because the same people like, I want online. Then the online comes out, and then they have issues with the connections and shit. They're gonna be like, "Man, this online sucks. I don't want online. Why don't they just put it in person?"
But there is a possibility that in case someone goes offline, it'll be replaced, so he or she will be replaced by a CPU.
Yeah, which the CPU cheat is all as hell anyway, on higher difficulty. So yeah,
I would make a joke I would make the joke of Luigi wins by doing nothing.
Yeah, but that's more like in Smash Brothers that happens.
Of course, people are more riled up of the Peach CPU than Luigi.
I don't really care. Like I said, I'm not like ultra they have they released the new WarioWare game yet?
Yeah, WarioWare Gold. It came out last month.
Yeah, and I'm like I was like, yeah, this is interesting, but when are we gonna get a new Wario game? Because WarioWare is fine and dandy, but I want a new Wario game. And the last one we had was on the Wii. So
actually, the last one was on the Wii U.
Wario game?
Yeah, the last Wario game was on the Wii U. You mean
I said a Wario game, not a WarioWare game. Wario, like a Wario platformer. Yeah, the last one we had was on the Wii. It was Wario Land Shake It. On the Wii U we had Wario. Yeah, the WarioWare game where you use the gamepad, which was fine. There was only 18 games, but they were fun. But I mean, here's the thing: WarioWare is fun, but I want a traditional 2D Wario game. And now that the Switch is out, there needs to be at least one. Damn it.
Well, there's still rumors about the Virtual Wario Land remake for the 3DS.
Yeah, they could do that. I'd be cool with that. I'd get it. I'd be down with that.
Any other topics, or is that it?
Let's see here. I don't know. Let's see. I guess we can go into movies. Anyone here beside me seen the Happy Time Murders?
I have.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was relatively good.
Well, I've seen someone's review of it, and they said that talked about how it doesn't get how it's not overall funny because it keeps using the F word so many times as a joke, rather than making a payoff of their jokes they're trying to set up.
All I'm going to
That's
say is
a
this:
thing right there.
This movie is not high art. Well, let me put the puppetry in it is really good though, so that's high art. But I mean, you know, it's high technical stuff. If you just want to watch a movie, turn your brain off and just watch a lesser version of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, except instead of cartoons, it's with puppets. Go watch Happy Time Murders. It's pretty fun. That's it. Enough said. That's the film. That's my only thing. I enjoyed it. I'm not saying it's the best thing ever. I'm just saying I enjoyed it.
There's good possibilities, right?
I mean, I just enjoyed it. I mean, you know, like everyone.
Sorry, continue.
No, everyone always thinks that everything has to be a certain way, but like not every film is gonna be AAA, the best thing ever. You know, not every game's gonna be like that. So, you know.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. You know, you want the best thing ever, you got to go do something else. You know, you got to, you know, if you want the best version of a game, then, I mean, the best version, like not every movie is going to be, you know, not every movie is going to be Citizen Kane or To Kill a Mockingbird or One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Like, you can't expect every movie to be some shit like that. So,
but the problem is people are expecting movies to be like those because then they can finally silence their complaints about how Hollywood is quote unquote running out of ideas or not enough memorable movies, not winning Oscars.
I don't think Hollywood. I don't think Hollywood is running out of ideas. Hollywood is stagnating in who gets to pitch their ideas. Because you notice they go to the same people over and over and over again. And after a while, you get tired of those same people's visions being put on the screen. You know, and even if they're good, it's like okay, if you're fed filet mignon every day.
You're going to get sick and tired of it.
You're going to get tired of filet mignon. Even though filet mignon every once in a while is delicious, but if you ate it every day for a month, you'd probably get tired of it. And I mean, that's basically what's going on in Hollywood. Like this, you have the same basic, like everyone is chasing the same basic template over and over and over again. As soon as something's popular, everyone jumps onto it. Like when the YA movies were big, the young adult movies, everyone was trying to, well, we're going to get our own young adult franchise. But you know who started the young adult franchise in Hollywood and really got it rolling? Warner Brothers with Harry Potter. You know, and then it was kind of going down a bit, and then they did Twilight, and that kind of kicked it up again, even though Twilight is kind of shitty. And then
Vampires Forever until JoJo's Bizarre Adventure came out.
Well, actually, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure existed before Twilight, but I get what you're saying. But it's like Twilight like restarted the YA thing, and then they kind of kept it going with the Hunger Games. But I mean, the thing is like, I mean, like everyone's like, well, we're gonna do a YA thing too, and everyone's like, yeah, our thing's based on a book, it's a YA thing, and it's like not everything needs to be turned into a movie, you know. Not everything needs to be a movie. Or like Marvel came out with their cinematic universe, so everyone's like, "Oh, we're going to make a cinematic universe too. We can do it too." And it's like not everything needs to be a cinematic universe. Not everyone can do a cinematic universe. There's more to it than just we can connect this, or if you stick with us with this shitty movie, we promise it'll get better later on. No, You know, people are tired of that form of marketing and thinking in Hollywood, because there are people who have good ideas, but their movies probably won't get made because they don't have access to the ear of the studios, and studios are risk averse, right? They don't want to put something out that won't do well, even though, like, in business you have to take chances. Not everything you do is going to succeed, right? It's like in the 70s, you had a lot of young people coming in to these studios and they were like, yeah, we'll give a chance to something new, right? And that's how you got like new stuff coming out. And then like those young people have aged up into old people who want to hold on to what they're holding on to and not let anyone else come in. And that's the problem. It's like Hollywood is really conservative, and they'd rather chase a trend than create a trend. And plus, their budgets are out of control.
And are you expecting them to go under a crash and be rebuilt under a new group of people?
Well, that's what happened in the 70s. The studio system came crashing down in the early 70s, and that's where you had the exploitation movies really start to come into their own, where people would just go and make their own movies. They'd get a video camera, and they'd make their own damn movie. And you had some really shitty movies coming out, but they'd turn a profit and they'd get a bigger budget for their next movie, and they'd make something. And so, I mean, you know, and you have some exploitation films that are really good, like Uptown Saturday Night and Let's Do It Again.
Right, because you think we might get another crash ever since the Weinstein allegations controversy in the near future?
I do think there's going to be another another movie crash, but I don't think I don't think the Weinstein thing is going to be enough to start it. What I think is going to happen is that what you're going to have one of these years is you're going to have all three of the major studios have major flops. Like major flops. Like they're just going to read it completely wrong. Like WB is going to have a flop. Maybe Disney's probably gonna, like, Marvel's gonna be fine, but maybe like their mainline live action movies, maybe 2 or 3 of those will flop. Like, you know, they're like all of the major studios are gonna have a year where things are just gonna be bad, and even indies aren't gonna be able to save things, and then you're gonna like things are gonna have to change. I think what you're gonna see in the future in the film industry is maybe. And this is just my own supposition, I don't have any evidence to prove this. What you're going to see is like AAA films are going to become the rarity, and it's going to be like small indie style films. Like the new AAA will be like a 20 million budget, 30 million budget. Like you're gonna go back to the old school way of how people got bigger budgets. Like directors got bigger budgets. Like you cut your eye teeth on something that had a little shitty budget, like 3.5 million, 5 million, maybe even less than that. And then if that did well, you'd get like a bigger budget of like 10 to 20 million. And then eventually you'd get to a AAA budget, but you had to work your way up. Like I don't know why Hollywood thinks that just because someone does well with an indie budget that they should be just jumped into a AAA budget. That doesn't make any sense. Right? That's like someone saying, hey,
they should know their limits.
Well, that's like someone saying, hey, this kid's really good at pee-wee flag football, so I'm going to put him in the NFL. It's like, no. No.
You're trying to get them killed?
Are you trying to get this small poor child mutilated?
This sounds almost like what I learned from the history, the rise and fall of Gainax, where Gainax used to be an indie studio until their parent company took off their training wheels quickly just so they can make a high budget anime movie.
Yeah.
Which flopped, but of course.
Yeah. I mean, like, basically, that's the thing that people need to understand is that, like, like there used to be a gradient in how things got bigger, and now like because studios are like, man, this is the next thing, this is the next thing. I'm like, look, listen, I understand that, and like they act surprised when something fails, like that whole Josh Trank thing with the Fantastic Four thing. Of course it was gonna fail. Josh Trank didn't have the chops to make that type of movie. All right, he didn't have the chops to do it. Okay, so I mean, it's not surprising he couldn't take care of it. You know, it's like everyone's like, well, how could Rian Johnson fuck up The Last Jedi? Rian Johnson has never made a AAA movie. Okay? He never made a AAA movie. His first movie, Brick, was like an indie film with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt in it. His second film was Looper. His third film was The Last Jedi. All right? Dude's made fucking 3 movies like that had wide theatrical release. Okay, other than that, I mean, like you can't expect someone who's made 3 widely theatrically released movies to be able to handle a AAA budget when his first 2 films were like lower end, you know, kind of like indie films. So you know, people need to understand that shit and stop being naive, if you will. But that's just me. I know some people are going to get mad because people get mad when you say shit they don't like. But oh, I need to say this now while we're on air. If I didn't, I'm sorry if I came off in that exchange in the RPG article as an asshole. That was my bad. I'm sorry, dude. But yeah, Hollywood needs to be better. Hollywood needs to be better. Anything else anyone else wants to say about the waning industry? Anyone want to bring up anything before we wrap things up?
Would I guess a formula of introducing animated universe where the solo installments are shows instead, and then a big crossover sort of movies, like you could say the Avengers or the actual movies, and pretty much with that I guess work out as a possible aftermath of the inevitable crash.
Well, I mean, like I said, I think Marvel's going to be fine because the formula that they're using works well for them, not so well for other people. I mean, as we can go ask WB about that shit. Yeah, how'd that work out for you? To quote Don Pianta's Pianta Mafia people who beat up that poor Escargoon in
Godfather.
In Paper Mario 1,000-Year Door. How's that road taste, punk? I mean, that's basically what happened with WB's cinematic universe. We're gonna do a and here's the thing: you think it would have been easy to do a WB cinematic universe, but it depends on who's running it. I think that Marvel will be fine. Their cinematic universe will be fine because, like, at the end of the day, like, I'm not saying that every Marvel Cinematic Universe film is good. Right now, the Cinematic Universe is doing better than their comic books because they fucked that up because they took established characters and added and
try to give them to minorities rather than making new superheroes as minorities.
Well, not just that. They tried to insert a social. They tried to insert a social agenda into the things without, like, there's a way you can do things in a cool way, and there's a bad way to do it, and they did it the bad way. Like, the right way to do, instead of having Amadeus Cho become the new Incredible Hulk, is maybe have something happen to the mighty Hercules, who Amadeus Cho was hooked up, like, that was his partner for the longest time. And instead he becomes the partner with Bruce Banner. And like that would have been a really interesting comic book run where like Bruce Banner is teamed up and the Hulk are teamed up with Amadeus Cho. That would have been a very interesting mechanic, but no, they killed off Bruce Banner and make Amadeus Cho the Hulk, which made no goddamn sense. And so people who their only introduction to the Incredible Hulk is the cinematic universe go to the comic book store and they're like, hey, I want a Hulk comic, and they read it and it's fucking Amadeus Cho and not Bruce Banner. They're like, what the fuck is this? And that's the problem, is that like they didn't introduce characters in an organic and natural way. Like, I'm all for diversity in comics. I like when different characters come in. I like when things are introduced in new and interesting ways. But like, you can't just take established characters, say fuck all that lore. We're gonna take this new character and throw him in there. It doesn't work unless you have a compelling reason to do it. It's kind of like in D&D. If you have a good enough story behind a character, I can let a lot of things go in a campaign. But if you're just like, I'm going to do what I want to, and I don't need to explain why this exists, and there's not a good reason for this character to be the way they are, then I can't allow it. And that's basically what people are going through right now with the comics thing. But I think Marvel will be fine. I think that movie universes, when they're done well, can work because they've been around for years. I mean, you had the Universal Cinematic Horror Universe where the different monsters would interact with each other. You had Godzilla. Like, there's multiple Godzilla universes. There's the Showa, Heisei, Millennium series.
Then there's the MonsterVerse and the Shin Godzilla series.
Well, the Shin Godzilla is not going to have a series. That was a one-off. But there's the Millennium series, which some people really love that one. I think the Millennium series is the weakest of the Godzilla series in terms of universes, because Millennium Godzilla just is like no fun, except for maybe the first film. Godzilla '99 is pretty good, but after that, it just. Godzilla versus Megaguirus. GMK. Well, GMK has a viciously mean Godzilla, which is kind of cool, but Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 3. Like, how many times does this fight need to be redone? But to answer your question, Dragon, I think that at the end of the day, when the crash happens, I think that the strong IPs will remain. I don't know if Star Wars is going to make it, sadly, but I think Marvel will be fine. I think that Disney's animated movies will be fine. I think Pixar will be fine. I think things that can make money will continue to make money because people will still go out to watch, Marvel films. I think people will still go out to watch animated films with their kids and stuff. I think that Hollywood will continue to take chances, but they're just going to be on smaller budgeted films. Like, you're going to see more smaller budgeted films, and directors are going to have to get savvier about how they use special effects and certain things. They're going to have to learn how to balance their budgets, which is going to be hard because a lot of these directors, like, have you noticed that a lot of these films that have CGI have, like, you watch the special effects and then you go and watch an earlier installment of that franchise and you realize that despite the special effects in the newer film being more up to date and all CGI'd and shit, they don't look nearly as good as the old shit. Dragon?
I guess for example,
Jurassic World,
or I guess Star Wars.
It has some. It depends on the film's lighting.
I mean, yeah, that's a part of it, but it depends on lighting. It depends on directorial style. It depends on how things were made. Just to me, and this is just my own little personal opinion, to me, practical special effects, even when they're kind of shitty, seem more real to me. There's more movie magic, if you will, than a whole bunch of CGI. Because CGI is just a fancy term for animation, and I can't get excited about a whole bunch of fucking animation. Like in terms of like real life live action, because I know it's like my brain knows that it's not there. Like it knows that there's nothing there. Or what's there isn't
what about motion capture? I mean, it shows that it's there, just digitally
same
enhanced.
thing. It just doesn't. It doesn't like my brain says it's not right. Like I remember watching the Michael Bay Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies, right? And those use motion capture, and I remember watching it, and I'm like, this looks ridiculous. Whereas I can watch the '89 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, and I'm like, wow, this is cool. Those are the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I know they're guys in puppet suits intellectually, but my eyes say those are the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You know, and that movie had a budget of like 30 million, and Michael Bay had a budget of over 100 million, and yet one clearly has better special effects than the other, despite the bigger budget. Which is, you know, amazing, I guess, sort of, a little bit. Anyone else have anything they want to say before we wrap things up? Anything they want to pimp out?
Nope.
All right. Stay tuned this week. I'll probably be uploading more videos about different RPGs that I love and I think people should play. I'll probably talk about Radiant Historia at some point because I can't pimp that game out enough because it's a really good RPG. It's kind of like the unofficial sequel to Chrono Trigger in some ways. Dragon, anything you want to pimp out? I know even though you don't do a lot of or any videos really, but anything you want to pimp out?
I guess like as of right now, not really, unless something pops up out of nowhere. I guess warrants my sort of presence to pretty much just talk about it. I guess maybe a game that might kind of be underappreciated.
All right.
But yeah.
All right, Joel, you have anything you want to pimp out? All right. Pinky, anything you want to pimp out?
Nothing. Well, I am planning on doing an article tomorrow in regards to Dark Samus and how fan artists are portraying her compared to her actual portrayal in the Metroid Prime games. Like right now, people are sexualizing her, even though she's actually an abomination.
And also, I don't know why they call Dark Samus female, because Dark Samus has no gender. She's genderless. I mean, they just call her a she because she's physically, her form is a weird mimicry of Samus's ultimate Phazon suit from the original Metroid Prime, but she has no gender. She's genderless. She's a Phazon parasite. She's genderless. Which is weird.
And like there's already people drawing fan art of a Dark Zero Suit Samus. When really a Dark Zero Suit Samus in reality would be just a bunch of skeletons and
yeah, we saw that in Metroid Prime 2 Echoes.
Yeah.
You see through her suit. It's this weird skeleton with like Phazon veins and shit. It's actually kind of disgusting, really.
Yeah.
It's
of
actually.
Of course, there are people who will still hit that.
I mean, no, man. There's nothing to hit. It's just. I'm gonna bone this skeleton. Oh, ew. Ew. I mean, she'd probably kill you. So I mean, you know, it's like when people are like, "Man, I want to sleep with Samus." You do realize that everyone she's near dies horrifically, right? I mean, I wouldn't want to be a fucking plot point for a Metroid game. You were Samus's boyfriend. Now you're dead. Now Samus is going for revenge. No, I'd rather live. Thank you very much. But that's just me. So I guess I'll pimp out Xbox One. Sorry, not Xbox One. Discus. Go to Video Game Facts on Discus. It's a great site made from the shattered remnants of PlayerEssence.com. The best part of PlayerEssence.com left it and created Discus, or sorry, Video Game Facts on Discus, and it's a great site for people to talk about games, lively discussions, in-depth article writing, some research, a lot of op-eds. So it's a great place to go for that type of information. This is the Mr. Red Fox BS Busters channel. I do primarily opinion pieces, occasionally with a little bit of news, but I'm not reporting anything. I'm just talking about what happened. So that's the end of the podcast. Thank you for joining. This podcast was supposed to be yesterday, but I had guests and they wouldn't leave. So and by the time they did leave, it was like after the podcast began, and I couldn't just say, well, you know, I'm the host. I got to go do a podcast, and it was just a logistic nightmare. So with that being said, that's the end of the podcast. Thank you for joining. Remember, rate, comment, share, subscribe. If you know people who might be interested in video games or talking about video games or being on the podcast, shoot me a link on my discussion discussion link. It's in the placard underneath this video. Once it's over, you can click on that to leave a message in the YouTube discussion area, and I'll check that, and we can get back to each other and find out what's going on. So, peace.